Okay, well, hi everyone. Welcome to today's interview. I'm Ruth from Something to Play For, and today we have a very special guest, which is Coach Matt Carr. He's an ex-pro footballer and licensed coach and the owner of M.A.C Pro Coaching in Dubai. So, Matt, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. Well, it was great seeing you this past week in Dubai. And quick background, everyone. Matt actually moved to Dubai 5 years ago and recently set up Mac Pro Coaching. Matt focuses on small group sessions and individual player development. So thank you for joining us today, Matt.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Okay, well, I'll start with the first question for you. Can
Okay.
you tell us a little bit about your journey from being a pro footballer to setting up Mac Pro Coaching in Dubai?
Yeah, so obviously I was always into football as a kid. Got picked up around about 13, 14. I had a few trials when I was younger, and it wasn't until I was about 14 I got picked up by Oldham Athletic in England. And I was there for 5 years till I was 19, and then got released. And then I just thought, well, like as a footballer, you just think like, well, my dream's gone. And you're trying to chase your dream. Obviously, I dropped down a few leagues into like the semi-pro leagues, playing in like the conference and the conference north. And then it wasn't until I was about 24 and I started playing futsal. And I went on my UEFA B course and I met my old boss on the course. And he said, well, why don't you come out to Dubai? So I said, well, yeah, I had nothing in England holding me back. So I thought, well, I'll take the chance. I'll see what it's like. Um, I'd never been to Dubai before, and then I spent 4 years at that academy. And I think it was for me, and it was always inevitable that I was going to try and set up purely because I had a passion and a drive to coaching the kids. But then you saw like odd individuals, and I know we'll touch on it later on, but when you're in a big group environment, some kids don't really get the attention that other kids need. So then I set up myself, took a risk, took a gamble, and set up Mac Pro Coaching. Obviously, the Mac is like my initials, and I didn't know how it would go, but obviously, I've been going 9 months now, and the goals that I've achieved are like probably year three. Um, the targets that I set myself, so it's going really well.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good risk, a great decision.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, amazing. What inspired you to start your own coaching business? More in detail, and how has your experience as a former professional player influenced your coaching methods?
Yeah, so obviously, like as a former footballer, I made mistakes. And I think the biggest influence for me is I want to try and give back to the kids who are like 14, 15, 16, and try and give like a few life lessons. So, for example, like I might not have stretched as much as what I probably should have done. I probably didn't dedicate as much time as what I should have done. And now I'm seeing it within the kids that I coach. And I'm saying to them, like, you can't just miss training just because you go into your friend's house or whatever. You've got to have that commitment and that drive and that attitude to want to be the best, and you've got to put it all together. Like some of the excuses that some of the kids will say is like, "Oh, I'm tired today," and I'm like, "I know, but there's so many lads in the world across different countries all trying to be footballers, and there's such a small percentage of kids that make it as footballers. You've got to give yourself the best opportunity that you can." And that's what I try to incorporate in the sessions. I'll say to the lads, you've got to give 110% every session. Don't come to a session and say, "Oh, I'm tired, I'll just give 50% today." Because that's not going to cut it in 2, 3 years' time when you're 16, 17, 18. And I don't want them to look back and say, if only I'd done more, or if only I'd done better in my training sessions, I might have made it.
Yeah, definitely. It's great that you are building this foundation with them, putting
Yeah.
them in the right track. So that's great. It's great
And
solidity.
it's gaining contacts as well. Obviously, from my past experience, I've gained a lot of contacts in the football world, in the football industry, in like different countries. Got a few people in America as well, obviously, and across Europe. And I try and say to the lads, if you give me everything, and I feel that you're ready for a trial, or I feel like I'm ready to put you in like a shop window to get into these clubs, then I will do it. But I don't want to put my name to something unless you're prepared to give me the dedication and the commitment that you want.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. And you mentioned being very dedicated, liking to be dedicated to the kids. So, doing a small group sessions like one-on-ones and, one to two people
Yeah.
to the sessions, how did these sessions help in improving individual player performance compared to larger group sessions?
So I've been asked this a few times on like Instagram and things like that, where
Hmm.
parents have said to me like similar questions. And when you look at like a large group of children, like within an academy, there's probably 15, 16, maybe up to 20 kids in a group session, and the coach isn't able to dedicate all their time towards the individual. Whereas when you're focusing on like a one-on-one or a two-on-one or maybe even a three-on-one, I'm able to then say, right, you didn't check your shoulder then. And then really go into detail of the individual techniques that the children need to do in order to sort of involve it within the match play or the group sessions. So I say to a lot of the boys, I'm like, have that fine balance. You can't just come to me 24/7, just like you can't just go and have team training 24/7. You've got to have both the balance, maybe 2 or 3 times a week with your club, once or twice with me. And it's shown within the pros in the industry that they have. The pro footballers, they might stay behind for 15, 20 minutes with a striking coach, or they might work with individual coaches to try and work on certain aspects of their game to improve. Because I try and say to the boys, you might have done that really well for 2 or 3 repetitions, but you can do it better. And then I try and a big thing for me is a comfort zone. I'll say to my lads, you're not in a comfort zone. You need to get out of your comfort zone in order to push yourself to the next level. Then, like if it's too easy for you, then you're doing something wrong. Like if you've got to be pushing yourself, so you're challenged every single time, whether that's through speed, repetition, or you might work on your stamina. And I can do that within my organisation then, whereas a coach isn't able to really focus on 20 individual boys because he's got such a group and he's working on set pieces or he's working on phases of play. So that's the main thing, really, that I'm able to work with that individual and push them onto the next level.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Did you think of it that way? Um, that's great. Now, with that, how important do you think mentorship is for young athletes, and how do you incorporate this into your coaching sessions?
I think mentorship is massive in football. I think every footballer has a role model. Even the professional footballers, they'll say an ex-professional footballer was a role model to them. And I just try and incorporate it within the session. I say to the boys, when I played, or when I know people who have played, and I try and talk about like modern day football. So, like, oh, did you watch the match at the weekend? Did you see Phil Foden take that touch? Because they can relate to it, and they try and relate to it a little bit through FIFA as well. I know that. But it's really important that they see the top athletes doing it, and then they go, oh yeah, I want to be like that. And I think if you can sort of use examples of role models of people who they aspire to be, and that's what I try and do with them, then it puts it into perspective that yeah, I could be like that if I push myself, and that's sort of the main role that I want to try and give the kids.
Yeah, definitely. That's extremely helpful and inspiring for them. Now, how do you see initiatives like Something to Play For supporting young athletes and promoting football development worldwide?
So when I met with Desmond, obviously in Dubai, we got in touch in that, and when we got talking, I think after about 5 minutes, and we both agreed we were very like-minded people, and we wanted the best for the kids. Obviously, the kids was the priority, putting them first. And I think what obviously Something to Play For is trying to achieve is absolutely fantastic because there's not many organisations doing it, or if they are doing it, it might be for the wrong reasons. So I think trying to give children experiences that they've probably never dreamed about is really important because then they're being having oh sorry, they're having opportunities where they're being given chance to maybe play in front of someone like who's a Division One coach or a Division Two coach, and then if they have that opportunity, the more times they do it, they're just going to strive on it and they're going to get bigger and better. So I think as soon as I saw the project and I saw what you guys do, I think it just attracted me straight away because it was very similar to what I'm trying to do. And obviously, some of the conversations that me and Desmond had, we said we could put our ideas together and maybe come up with something on a wider scale, really, like not just in Dubai, not just in Miami, but obviously across the world as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to know that we're aligned. So, Matt, thank you for that. And,
Yeah,
we really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. So, we're all looking forward to your upcoming endeavors. And that wraps up today's podcast episode with Matt Carr. Thank you all for joining us, and stay tuned, guys, as we have more exciting interviews and updates from Something to Play For.